Also, one thing to mention, as well as putting Bondo and sanding in this back part to make it look nicer, we also, once we remove the tape from this bottom side, you can see where the epoxy has set on these two bottom vent holes. Now it lifts out just a little bit. Gravity made it bubble downwards out of these vent holes, so we just have to take some sandpaper or Dremel and just sand those flush also, and we're going to spread a little bit of Bondo on the top of that to get rid of. Okay, now we're on to the Bondo part of filling up all of the gaps. You can find this stuff at Lowe's, Home Depot, any mom and pop hardware store. It's just all-purpose putty, Bondo. Gotta love this stuff. I used to use that 2-part sculpting compound in my original extended foregrip video. This stuff is much better, easier to sand, and easier to spread. Along with this, for you guys who've never used this stuff before, you want to get this, it's 2 parts actually. You use the putty, and then you use a small bit of this. It's about, you use 1/10 of this for every little bit of this you use, so use this sparingly. This is what makes it start to set and dry and cure. So take a little bit of this stuff. I like to use popsicle sticks for it. I know it sounds really cheesy, but it works really well. So we're actually going to be using a decent amount of this stuff. So we got that here. And now just a little bit of the white goop. Mine's out of Gutter People. And mix them together. This stuff will actually start to set fairly quickly, so you got to work with it quick. And if you have a fan on in your garage or something to keep you cool while you work, I'd highly recommend turning it off because it will make this stuff dry much quicker. So get a nice dab right in here on your stick, and now we're just going to smear it around to try to fill up the gaps. And it'll take 2 times to do this because there's air bubbles and all that stuff, but don't worry about it. It doesn't have to look pretty right now. We're going to sand all of it, but right now you just want to fill up all of those unsightly gaps. Then we'll come back, sand it, and do it one more time. And the majority of it, of the work you have to do, is at the back of the foregrip. The front is fine, along the sides is fine. It's really just the back where there's the big gap there. And for tighter spaces, yep, gotta love the 99-cent store, Q-tips. Just spread it right in there on the seams. Popsicle sticks and Q-tips. Only the most high-tech gadgets in use here at Snare Alarms. And it's already starting to set up and dry. We can't use that anymore. And it's already starting to firm up. So we're going to give this about 10 minutes to finish hardening. And then we'll come back and sand it. Alright everybody, we have given the Bondo, I've actually got a little work done on some emails, so we've actually let this set for half an hour, top and the bottom. It's nice and hard enough to sand now, so you just take some sandpaper. I'm using a 100 grit right now, and just sand off the edges. If you have any tight little areas where you normally wouldn't be able to get into, go ahead and put a different head on the Dremel and get in there in the edges and try to sand it as smooth as you can. Alright everybody, I just sanded this first coat of Bondo. As you can see where there was the big gap, now it is filled in, sanded smooth, nice and even. And also we're on the Cyclone side, we've sanded here so it's a slightly rounded edge. Instead of just having it at a right angle, this looks a little bit better, and also still allows for clearance for the Cyclone, and filled up this gap between the airsoft foregrip and the stock foregrip. So once this all gets spray painted with the flat black, and then a light texture of clear coat, and another couple layers of black, then clear coat, you won't be able to really see this. And also the bottom, nice and smooth also. So I'm going to paint this right now, and then it'll be good to go. Alright everyone, so I've put on a couple coats of flat matte black paint, spray paint, sprayed from about 2 feet away so that it gives it a light texture, and then the same thing with a clear coat spray paint. You probably can't see, but it gives it a tiny little texture like very fine sandpaper. Helps cover up any tiny little nicks, inconsistencies, and also helps just blend it together and match up the body of your X7. So you can see on the bottom how it really blends in a lot right now. Those 3 vent holes are gone. You can still, if you look really close from a couple inches away, you can kind of barely see where they are, but you know, it blends in really well. And the same thing with the back, and the sides, and then this little cutout down on the bottom. Looks a lot better. Because this is handmade, this isn't stamped from injection molding machining or anything like that. There are tiny, tiny little scratches or a tiny little nick you could barely see if you're up close, but this is handmade, you know. We don't have the professional $30,000 molds. It's all made right here. So here is what an X7 looks like, standard X7 with the Spec Ops X36 foregrip on it. It looks good. And now our modded Euro Sniper and Heavy Gunner foregrip. Much better. This has a nice little pivoting action, nice and sturdy. Bipods fold up nice and tight. So there you go. There's the mod for you. View from the front. From the Cyclone side. A little bit of clearance there. From underneath, you have a tiny little space right there for any aftermarket magazines that you'll get, so this won't interfere, and if it does, you can just sand off just a tiny little bit right there. You know, I don't know what other companies are going to come out with or the dimensions of it, but this is made to work for ours. So there you go. There is your little tutorial on how to do the Euro Sniper Heavy Gunner foregrip. Enjoy.